Battlefield is dead. There's no doubt that 2042 delivered the final blow and has left a sort of weird void in its place. Now, nature abhors a vacuum, so I think it's pretty natural that we've been trying to fill that void with games that look kind of similar to what we got with the Battlefield franchise. And that's where World War III comes in. It's a game where you've got capture points like in Conquest, you can spawn on squad mates, it's set in the modern era with modern weapons and attachments, and there are vehicles you can use on relatively large maps. So on paper, it does seem like World War III could be the new Battlefield. But I actually think that if you're expecting Battlefield, you're going to be a bit disappointed. I'm not saying I think World War III is a bad game, it's just a bit different. I would actually say that it plays a bit more like if there was a game that was kind of like a more hardcore version of one of the older Call of Duties, but with bigger maps and also more players, because you've got what essentially is kill streaks, you get into action pretty quickly, and it's much more infantry focused combat in smaller areas compared to the more expansive combat you get in Battlefield games. Now, I'm also not saying that any of this is a bad thing. World War III is not trying to be Battlefield despite having a fair few similar attributes. And it's us as gamers that are the ones that are kind of superimposing Battlefield onto these relatively new shooters that have been gaining attention. Now, the Battlefield franchise had a deeply embedded niche that was enjoyed by a lot of us, but they got greedy, they wanted more, and in seeing the popularity of battle royales and hero shooters, they tried to get in on those genres, which ultimately ended up ruining the core Battlefield experience. So we're at this kind of weird stage where core Battlefield gamers, myself included, are desperate for a game to come out that captures that fundamental Battlefield essence that's particularly present in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, also the Bad Company games as well. And it's strange because when I look at what smaller developers can do nowadays as technology has evolved, it seems feasible that a smaller group could make a Battlefield 4 style game that would immediately capture all of us displaced Battlefield fans. Now, World War III in my opinion is not that game, but it is definitely a game that you should 100% check out, especially as the open beta is going to be released any day now, and then after that it's going to be a free-to-play game. So let's have a look at what's good about the game and also what needs improving. So starting with a bit of background, the game was released back in 2018, and from what I've read, it has had its fair share of issues. Now, it seems to me like they've got to a stage where they've fixed the kind of game-breaking issues, but obviously the negative reviews it picked up still remain. You'll also see some negative reviews relating to the fact that you've got to use their separate game launcher, which, to be honest, I don't know why they've done that. It's just kind of annoying and clearly not a good move, but obviously it doesn't affect your actual in-game experience once you get into a game. And I mention all this because, in my opinion, the ratings I've seen for this game on Steam they're a bit harsh, to be honest. I do think it is a good game. Now, I haven't played it extensively, so I'm sure there are some issues that I've missed, but at a time where there are many good new FPS games out there, this was definitely a very enjoyable one for me. And one of the best aspects of the game is the gunplay. There is no bloom or bullet spread or anything like that. Your bullets go where you're aiming, taking into account bullet drop and travel time and all that good stuff. It does feel very satisfying firing the weapons. They've got good sound to them, and it feels impactful when you actually hit the enemy. So there's also a nice amount of recoil. It's not so much where it feels clunky and unmanageable, but also enough for it not to feel that kind of arcadey like those Call of Duty games. So straight off the bat, they've nailed the gunplay, which is clearly a fundamental aspect of first-person shooters. And the maps seem to be rich in content and well designed. Coming from 2042, I'm just going to keep railing on it, it is nice to see areas of cover and stuff like that, and not just large areas of open ground. Now, there are only 5 maps at the moment, however, so they can get a bit repetitive, especially as there's a lot of urban environment in the maps, so things can kind of start to look a bit samey. I would have to say that my favourite map so far is definitely Moscow, pretty much purely based on how cool and incredible it looks. It is really good map to play. The level of customization on weapons as well is excellent. There's loads of different attachments for each weapon, and the interface is good. In fact, I'm pretty sure they've just copied the what we saw in the latest Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is a solid interface for weapon customization. I suspect as the game goes free to play, we're going to see a plethora of different skins that can be purchased, and I'm completely fine with that, especially for a free to play game, as long as those in-game purchases remain to be purely cosmetic. I do hope, however, that they show a little bit of restraint and don't follow the Warzone route with purple bullets flying everywhere and completely ridiculous looking guns. When it comes to vehicles, I think they need to do a bit of work on their physics. There doesn't seem to be that much inertia with the vehicles, which can make them feel a bit kind of weightless. I'm not a massive fan of being in vehicles in the game. I think it's definitely more infantry focused. Another improvement I'd like to see is with the audio. Although it sounds good when you're firing a weapon, I know they've significantly improved the sound of footsteps. Incoming rounds at the moment sound a bit weak, which does lower the immersion a little bit. Also, the sounds of firefights occurring in the distance I think can be made a bit better, just to make you feel like you're in a big battle rather than just very localized skirmishes. So all in all, and to wrap this video up, I would say that on the whole, World War III seems like a good first-person shooter to me, and one you should definitely try out when the open beta is released. Don't expect a Battlefield game though, because it is its own thing despite the similarities. I should say, as well as a little bit of a disclaimer, take my opinion with a pinch of salt. The first person shooter scene has been pretty barren lately, so I am slightly worried that part of my enjoyment and praise for the game might be coming from the fact that it's simply something new to play. I did in fact, I must admit, have fun playing 2042 when it first came out, pretty much for that exact same reason. But now, with that being said, I do think that World War III is a very fun game. I've definitely been enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to sinking even more hours into it. So that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below, and if you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more of the same. Cheers guys.
Our units are taking hold of objective Alpha 2.
Needed.
Our units are taking hold of objective Alpha 2.
Area under control.
Objective Bravo 2.